So, great to be here. Thanks for having us here. Unmaking Matters is a research project financed by the Swedish Research Council, where we, as design researchers, try to grapple with the constant friction or tension between making and unmaking, and both previous, ongoing, and sort of coming, future makings and unmakings, and questions around who gains, and key bono, like who gains, who doesn't, when something is made or unmade. And design, as you might have seen in the world, has an inclination to work with the new, to like make the new and to present the new. But we want to shift focus slightly and instead go into maintenance, repair, and composting, and other ways of caring for that which is already made. And so we started an Unmaking Studio, which deals with how design both, as I said, makes and unmakes. And what does it make and unmake? It unmakes and makes artifacts, materials, practices, dreams, hopes, aesthetics as well. So far, it's only been going on for half a year, or a bit more than half a year. And we've had sort of one focus so far.
Yeah, so the first project started off in this already ongoing work with unmaking of the plastic straw that I'm sure you have encountered. But rather than promoting these kind of universal bannings of this design, we have tried to make a few different material proposals that explore both how different versions of the straw has been made and unmade throughout history, and also how that can play out into the future in situated and responsible ways, and then working across 4 different themes that we will now present. And of course this, so this plastic straw is in a way a very, very simple design, and it's being hyped now as this like banning, and we can think of it also as this example of disposable products that has been also in parallel, causing a lot of issues, but of course has also brought a lot of good things with them. So we're kind of
made a lot of things possible.
Yeah, so we're kind of in this very difficult and complex space, but choosing this very simple design as well, but trying then to opening up the complexities of that. And yes, and so these proposals that we did together with Petra Lilja was exhibited at Ystad Art Museum this summer as part of an exhibition curated by Gunnar Pettersson called Experiments for Utopia.
So we'll now go into 4 different thematics that we worked with in this, let's say, material rearrangements that we have dealt with. And Petra Lilja is an industrial designer, we should mention. So one of them is temporality. And design has been a lot about use time, and for the drinking straw, perhaps it's used for something like 5, 10, 15 minutes, but as most straws nowadays are made from plastics, they last actually, much longer than during the use time. So use time, because this really weird sort of measurement. We experimented with making them from ice, and that was perhaps not lasting long enough. And another way of thinking of temporalities is to think of, and this is Malin Lobel who gave us the cue for this. We went out and dug up what I think in English is called Sweet Sicily, or Spanish runway, Spansk Körvel. And it's growing wild, but you can also plant it. And for that, for having your party, you cannot perhaps plan to have it tomorrow, but you need longer time frames. And in the autumn or spring, they get quite kind of not so good taste, perhaps. But when the stems are at their best, they have a taste of licorice. So then the straw also has something else to sort of offer.
And that, of course, also goes back to how the first straws were made out of different kinds of grass straws. Yeah. And then we have the theme of care. So straws are today and have been often used as part of different caring practices, or as part of within healthcare, for example. But there is also another aspect of care in relation to straws, that is the kind of care that we might need to care for the straws. If we stop using these disposable products or straws, there will also be a demand for more kind of care practices in relation to these objects. So letting go of some of the carefree life that plastic once proposed or promised. So together with Petra, we designed this as one kind of potential way, a straw that you would wear around your neck. And it's made out of glass, so you have to be careful. And there is also a small brush in it, so that you can clean it. Sorry?
It's also a weapon.
I think you can think of it as a... you could use it as a pimpette and different... it's a... You can decide what to use it for, but it can be used as a drinking straw. And you can bring it with you easily, and it can also just be a beautiful necklace. Yes.
Mm. And the fourth thematic is the aftermath. And even if most plastic straws were stopped, if we stopped the production of most plastic straws right now, we would have lots of aftermath of previous lives and living and practices. So we went out for a plugging session, which is this concept of picking plastics while jogging. We didn't jog, but we went out picking plastics during a walk. And of course, we found lots and lots. And you mentioned the carefree living, that's a supposed carefree living, but we're just distributing perhaps work and labor and materials from one place to another, from one time to another. And we found them where they really weren't meant to end up. And then we actually tried to categorize them and so on. But that's, still within this idea of, okay, we can clean the areas that we're walking through, but what do we do with them after that? We went to you can bring them to the recycling station, and often that's the idea, you use something, you put it in a recycling box, but lots of plastics is so, like it almost has wings, so it doesn't stay put where you think it should end up.
And so the last theme is microbiological relations. So the straw has also been used a lot to increase hygiene or prevent various kinds of diseases to spread, which has been very important in specific occasions. But now we can also see how this kind of very extreme cleanliness and separation has also starting to cause concerns regarding health and so on. So in this last proposal, we kind of went back to one of the first versions of straws where you would actually drink more collectively out of one container. And here it's drinking beer collectively out of straws that had like a small net in the bottom to rinse off some things that you don't want to drink. So we made this kind of revival of that, and if you're around tomorrow, you will at the museum you can drink non-alcoholic beer from this and become gut buddies with someone else. and have a conversation around these topics.
Okay, so that was the first thing that the Unmaking Studio worked with, and coming up this autumn, and yet another way for us to try to invite to critical and creative public engagement with the environment is the Unmaking Soil Communities project that we're starting. And we will be working in mainly the aftermath of glass industry, which is, one particular way of producing, and it has particular aesthetical preferences have also left marks in the land. For example, cadmium, lead, uranium, I'm forgetting things now, copper. But there is this tech fix, in a way, the phytoremediation, where plants can help us clean the soil. But we're also thinking in terms of, but what kinds of communities can we build around soil, and how are we already communities, soil communities? So that's what we will be working with the coming months towards the exhibition Multi-Species Storytelling at Växjö Konsthall. Yeah.
Thank you.